He is the gentleman in the white suit. His companion is Alfred Landon, presidential candidate in 1936. Arthur Bester was administrator from 1914 to 1944. He was born, by the way, in Dixon, Illinois. And later he became a lecturer at Chicago University, Extension Division, the one created by William Rainey Harper. The debt was finally resolved in 1936 with a large money grant help from the Rockefeller Foundation. This cornucopia of lectures, sermons, music, and other educational events and entertainments captured audiences summer after summer. And not surprisingly, the entire Chautauqua movement, as it came to be called, swept across the country. In 1876, the Bayview Assembly was created at Petoskey, Michigan. By 1886, John Vincent had listed 38 other Chautauquas, including one called Old Salem, Chautauqua, near Petersburg, Illinois, and another one in Pontiac, Illinois. Most of these were annual meetings of 2 weeks length, and Vincent and Miller did not oppose the idea. In fact, they shared speakers with these temporary Chautauquas. Then the Lyceum Bureau of Boston, which had under contract a number of entertainers who traveled from city to city during the winter, arranged to have famous dignitaries and lesser-known performers travel on a summer Chautauqua circuit of a few days in length. In retrospect, a summer of cultural entertainments would not seem very attractive to the young, and at the conscious level, much of it wasn't. But in the end, it was the general artistic and intellectual ambiance that left its mark on us and continues to attract people to Chautauqua right now. In this leafy, sunlit, rather crowded, but always peaceful colony, the strains of a leitmotif, the implications of a provocative speaker, created a mosaic which really reflects the value of a liberal education. Each summer, as Labor Day approached, we three realized that the good times were about to end, and we devised a deeply felt goodbye ritual. On the day we were to leave, with one family heading south and the other east, Ellen and Stuart and I would push a rented canoe into the lake and paddle quietly into the morning mist. As it dissipated with the rising sun, we would return to shore and hike up to the waffle kitchen for a farewell breakfast, requiring the last of our creatively earned treasure. It was on such a morning in 1939 that as we returned from the restaurant, I remember Ellen's and Stuart's father coming toward us with the news that Germany had just invaded Poland. Chautauqua, from that moment, became fixed in our memories as a wonderful idol. And that's it. And if you have some questions, okay, I'll try to answer them. How many of you have attended the Chautauqua over the years? Do you ever remember going to one? Well, what about the actual institution? Okay, and I know that. And the others have been about 4 or 5 people. That's great. We have not been there in many years, and my nephew owns the cottage now, but it's still in the family.
going next month.
Oh, is that right? You know, I don't know. I tried to find, I'm not good with my iPad, and I tried to find out what the schedule was for each week, but I failed to do it. Yes,
This is the fall, there is a spring and fall, 2 programs, sponsored by Rhodes Scholar,
Oh,
which is
sure.
the Elder House.
yes.
And we're going to the Elder House, so I've been there once before.
I did know that they, before the season opens and after it closes, that adult education programs exist. Yeah. And are you staying at the Hotel Athenaeum? I didn't have a picture of it, but it's huge. It's the only really large building on the whole grounds. Victorian building. It was built, I think, about the time the amphitheater was built, around 1890. Still in existence. Any other comments or questions about Chautauqua? Yeah. About what? Oh, yes, she said at Weldon Springs. And I recall we drove over there one time and saw, I think there was a placard or something about Chautauqua. It would be either one of the traveling Chautauquas or perhaps a short summer Chautauqua.
We used to take the interurban down there, and farmers would meet the passengers at the end of the urban line and take them to the.
I see. She said they used to take the interurban to Weldon Springs for the Chautauqua program.
There was one at Miran Bluff on the Wabash River, and there were buildings there and so forth. And when I was a child, they had a tent put up on the school ground, and Red Skeleton entertained the children at the matinee, and he taught me the bear went over the mountain.
Very good.
That's cute.
Any more questions?
Did you tell them, I forget, that they're rebuilding the amphitheater?
Yes, I mentioned they're rebuilding that amphitheater. Apparently part of the roof fell down to the ceiling of the amphitheater. Not good if 4,000 people are sitting underneath it. And it was very, very politically terrible 2 years discussion. I know my sister and her husband who bought the cottage, they were opposed to, that's on the historic register, don't tear down our amphitheater. But they didn't win out. The board of directors decided it had to go. So next year, I think, or maybe 2 years, there will be a new major building there on the campus.
Hi, Grandpa. I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm curious, today has changed a lot since Chautauqua was founded.
Has what?
Changed in many ways.
There of course have been changes in programming. In fact, what was basically a classical music treasure during the summer is now divided between rock music and pop music, major concerts at the amphitheater. So the music has changed quite a bit. But the speaking system, one other thing. Now the summer program is set up with a theme each week. And I did find out that this week's theme is called Being Human, whatever. And that leads for a lot of interesting speakers coming. They have a chaplain of the week who gives 5 morning programs as well as a Sunday service, and they have to tie into that theme some way or other. So that was a change.
One of my questions is, how do you think some of the principles in Chautauqua are still relevant to today?
Well, certainly the interest in public issues. I don't know if any of the candidates are going to be speaking at Chautauqua, but frequently a presidential candidate would come and talk. I remember, of course, as a child, that second summer that I was there, FDR came, but he was governor of New York State. He was not president at the time. And I remember running alongside this huge touring car and waving at him as it went by. And, but they still have very prominent speakers. Who was the founder of the psychiatric hospital in Kansas? Famous man. What was his name? Yeah. Menninger. Yeah, Carl Menninger appeared frequently. One of the speakers now, the editor of Time magazine, has been coming to Chautauqua for years to conduct discussion groups. They're able, apparently, with the gate fees to, well, that's a terrible story. The gate fee for an entire 8-week summer when we were there as children was $13. And that helped provide the programming. Today, the gate fee for a whole summer at Chautauqua is $1,900. So you've got, and my sister says the whole place has just gotten too expensive for us. And she said, in fact, the stations out there in the social center where you wash your hands, Mr. Prell has built a huge mansion right on the lakefront. Many of the Chautauquans think it's terrible because it's modern structure, and it has a blue tile roof that can be seen clear across the lake. And so he spends part of his summers apparently. But don't mention it to my sister and her neighbors. They don't like his coming to Chautauqua.
Ralph, was the name Chautauqua used for anything that was a little different from what you are describing here? I grew up in a little town that had a celebration